Normally, it would be a challenge to find silver lining in a shutout loss where your offense only has 3 hits against a bad team. But that wasn't the case for the Mets on Tuesday night out in St. Louis against the Cardinals because of Kodai Senga. Look, we can't totally look beyond the fact that the Mets' new look lineup that was so good on opening day has really struggled of late with runners in scoring position. And on Tuesday night against the number 5 starter for a team that'll probably finish in last place in their division, again, they only had 3 hits. That's discouraging. But Senga had as encouraging as a first start to the season that he possibly could have. And he picked right up where he left off in spring training in Grapefruit League play. He was a shining star at Mets camp in terms of how he pitched in exhibition games, but also on the backfields and bullpens, really giving the Mets and the fan base reasons to be optimistic that this year could be a lot more like 2023 for Senga, when he was a Cy Young Award candidate, finishing 7th in the race for that award and finishing 2nd in the race for the Rookie of the Year award, when he looked like an ace and a fixture at the top of the Mets rotation. It hasn't been like that over the last few injury-riddled seasons for Senga, but he looked really good on Tuesday night, that's for sure. He threw 6 strong innings, getting his pitch count over 90. He did give up 2 earned runs, 4 hits allowed, 3 walks. So I think the takeaway there is there are some command issues. He missed over the plate a couple times, lost his zone. There was the Ivan Herrera RBI double that Senga gave up when he was dinged up a couple times in one inning, 3 hits in a row, including a hanging breaking ball right over the middle of the plate that Herrera crushed to left. But here's the biggest takeaway. 9 strikeouts, 17 swings and misses, and Senga's fastball touched 99.2 miles an hour on the radar gun. He averaged 97.4 with that pitch, which is 2.7 miles an hour faster than Senga's fastball last year. Even if you go back to 2023, it's still faster now than it was then. And I don't think it takes a baseball lifer, a scout, or even a beat writer like me to explain to you or for you to understand just what that does for a pitcher to have those extra couple ticks on the radar gun, especially for someone like Senga who throws so many different secondaries, can spin the ball like he does and have that ghost fork with his patented pitch, the fork ball, that can keep hitters off balance and have different shapes for them to think about. It just gives them less time to react, that they have to be ready for that fastball a little earlier if he's going to be able to sit in the upper 90s consistently, which remains to be seen, but he was doing it in spring training too. I mentioned 9 strikeouts. There were 2 different innings where he struck out the side, and of those 9 strikeouts, 6 of them were with the fastball. That pitch was just blowing St. Louis hitters away. And I know the Cardinals lineup is not necessarily a juggernaut this year, to put it lightly, but for Senga to go out there in a game that actually matters, a regular season contest, and to pitch that well, show the ability to go a little bit deeper into the game, that is, again, as encouraging as it gets. Post-game, Senga spoke to reporters out in St. Louis, and one, he said that he can't remember the last time that he's had a fastball this good, and 2, and I think this is the other striking takeaway from Tuesday's game for the Mets, is that Senga said he feels like a starting pitcher again. In years past, he's had to worry about how his body feels, how between innings and when he's out there on the mound, he's thinking about other things at times. And on Tuesday, he was able to just focus in on executing his pitches and thinking ahead to what opposing hitters are going to be expecting and keeping them off balance. So that is a great sign for the Mets, because I know this is getting into the what if territory, and we have to keep this same narrative in mind with Luis Robert Jr.'s start to the season too, because these guys have a track record over these last few years of getting injured, and the Mets are doing their best to keep these guys healthy, these X factors. But just looking at the Mets pitching staff, if Senga can pitch at this level consistently and for an entire season, the ceiling of the Mets is just going to be so much higher, right? That's not a hot take. If Senga goes out there and pitches like a top of the rotation arm in a staff that also now has Freddie Peralta and Nolan McLean, with maybe some reliability in there with Clay Holmes and David Peterson. We'll see what happens with Sean Manaea, but some youngsters on the way as well. Christian Scott, Jonah Tong, Tobias Myers is in the bullpen, but he can always step in. That could be a real strength for the Mets this year. Emphasis on the could, because Senga has to go out there and prove that he can pitch for a full season. I remember In the offseason, David Stern said it would be foolish to go out there and expect Senga to give you 30-plus starts and pitch at a high level, just because he hasn't done that since 2023. But if he does, look out for other teams, especially in the NL East, because Senga could be an impact piece for the Mets in 2026.